She's too stupid to realize we've been using her for years. The words sliced through the closed door of my dad's study, sharp and venomous. I froze, my hand hovering over the doorknob, a tray of his favorite tea and cookies growing heavy in my grip. The voice was my dad's, but the sentiment, it couldn't be my dad, not the man who called me his little star. Then, a familiar saccharine laugh echoed, "My stepmother, Brenda." "Oh, David, don't be so harsh. She's just simple, eager to please. It's been quite convenient, hasn't it? Her inheritance is funding Leo's entire European tour. Leo, my stepbrother." My stomach churned. The money wasn't just her inheritance, it was my mother's legacy. The money she'd left me, which my dad managed because I was too young and naive to handle such a large sum. I was 22. My breath caught in my throat. All those years, I'd bent over backward to win their approval. I cooked, I cleaned, I ran errands. I gave up my dream of art school to stay home and help my dad with his struggling business, using my inheritance to keep it afloat. I thought I was being a good daughter, a supportive family member. But I was just a walking, talking bank account. A fool. The tray clattered to the floor. The study door flew open. My dad's face, usually a mask of paternal warmth, was twisted in shock and anger. Brenda stood behind him, a flicker of panic in her eyes before it was replaced by cold disdain. "How much did you hear?" my dad demanded, his voice low and threatening. "Enough," I whispered, my own voice trembling with a rage I'd never felt before. "Enough to know everything was a lie." For a moment, they looked genuinely scared. But then, my dad's expression hardened. "Don't be dramatic, Amelia. We did what was best for the family. You're part of this family, aren't you?" That was the moment something inside me snapped. The simple, eager-to-please girl he thought he knew evaporated, replaced by a cold, clear fury. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just looked him dead in the eye and said, "Not anymore." That night, I packed a single bag. I didn't take the designer clothes they'd bought with my own money, I now realized. I took my mother's old sketchbook, a few changes of clothes, and every ounce of strength I had left. The next morning, I wasn't at the breakfast table making coffee. I was in a lawyer's office. His name was Mr. Harrison, an old friend of my mother's. When I told him everything, his face grew grim. He pulled out the trust my mother had established. My dad was the trustee, yes, but he was bound by fiduciary duties. He wasn't allowed to use the funds for personal gain or to benefit others, like his new wife and her son. He had broken the law, ostensibly. "They think you're simple, Amelia," Mr. Harrison said, a glint in his eye. "Let's use that." And so the game began. I let my dad and Brenda believe I had run off in a childish tantrum. They'd call, leaving messages that dripped with fake concern. "Amelia, darling, please come home. We're so worried." I didn't answer. Let them worry. Let them wonder what their cash cow was up to. Meanwhile, Mr. Harrison and his team were digging. They unearthed every transaction, every loan to my dad's failing business, Every wire transfer to fund Leo's lavish lifestyle. The evidence was a mountain, a testament to years of calculated greed. The first move was to freeze the accounts. I'll never forget the frantic, sputtering voicemail my dad left me. Amelia, what have you done? The bank has frozen everything. This is a misunderstanding. You're ruining us. Ruining them. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. I calmly sent him a text message back, my first communication in weeks. We need to talk. Meet me at the house tomorrow and bring Brenda. When I walked into my childhood home, it was the first time I felt like I owned the space. I wasn't the meek girl serving tea anymore. I was the one in control. They were sitting on the expensive sofa my money had paid for, their faces a mixture of fear and indignation. This is ridiculous, Brenda started. You're being manipulated by some lawyer. Quiet, I said. The word was soft, but it cut her off instantly. She stared at me, mouth agape. I laid it all out for them. I placed a thick binder of financial evidence on the coffee table. I explained the concepts of fiduciary duty and fraudulent misrepresentation. I watched the color drain from my dad's face as he realized his simple daughter had done her homework. You have two choices, I said, my voice steady. Choice 1. You sign over control of the business to me, what's left of it, and you and Brenda. Move out of this house by the end of the month. You will leave with nothing but your personal belongings. Leo is cut off, effective immediately. If he wants to stay in Europe, he can get a job. And choice 2. My dad asked, his voice barely a whisper. Choice 2 is I hand this binder to the district attorney. You'll face multiple felony charges. You'll lose everything anyway, and you will likely go to prison. Brenda might too, as an accessory. Brenda let out a strangled sob. You can't do this to your own father. He stopped being my father the moment he decided I was just a tool to be used, I retorted, my gaze locked on him. He taught me a valuable lesson. Family isn't about blood, it's about trust. And you, I said, turning to him, shattered it. He looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. He wasn't seeing a tool or an idiot. He was seeing his daughter, the one he had betrayed, holding his entire world in her hands. He saw the strength I'd inherited from my mother, and he broke. He slumped forward, burying his face in his hands. They chose option 1, of course. The following weeks were a whirlwind. I took over the business, which was in worse shape than I imagined. But for the first time, I felt alive. I enrolled in night classes for business management and reconnected with my passion for art, sketching designs for a new company direction. It was hard, grueling work, but it was mine. The day they moved out was quiet and grey. Brenda shot me a look of pure hatred. My dad couldn't even meet my eye. He just looked old and defeated. As they drove away, I didn't feel triumph or even satisfaction. I just felt free. I had lost the family I thought I had, but in the process, I found myself. I learned that my worth wasn't in my ability to please others, but in my own strength and intelligence. They thought I was too stupid to notice, but in the end, they were the ones who had underestimated me, and that was their downfall. My mother's legacy was finally safe, and I was just getting started building my own. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever felt underestimated or taken for granted, know that your strength is greater than you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about finding your power. See you next time.